Oh, beautiful. Look at that. The sun coming through the trees. I absolutely love stuff like this. Oh, just beautiful. I'm out in this magnificent forest and it feels so good. I've spent so much time this year out on the tundra of Alaska and various areas. You know, I had an incredible time out there earlier this year photographing foxes, both red foxes and Arctic foxes. That was an incredible experience. Later in the summer, I moved on to my bear workshops and spent 2 weeks out there with the bears. After the bears this summer, I moved on up into the Arctic, which was my first time up there, and I spent some time with some muskox, which was something I've literally dreamt about since I was just a kid, so it felt so good to do that. But because I've spent so much time up there photographing wildlife, I feel like I've neglected the forests and forest wildlife. So I'm back out here for the next 3 days and I'm going to be looking for great gray owls to photograph. This has become an annual trip for me, something I've come to look forward to and just love every year around this time. If you haven't seen my previous videos from previous years, I'll put links to those in the description below and you can check those out as well. The sun's going down quick though, as you can see in the trees here. So I'm gonna get my camp set up real quick and then I'm gonna head out and see what I can find tonight. And then we'll come back when it's dark, get some dinner, head to bed and start off bright and early again in the morning. And I'll either update you then or possibly later tonight, depending on what I find. But yeah, let's quit rambling. Let's get set up and start this week's adventure. When looking for great gray owls, there are a few specific things that I look for that will help indicate if there are actually owls in that area. As I make my way through the forest, I'm constantly looking not only for the owls themselves, but I also keep my eyes peeled for any signs of their passing or presence. When you scan the trees for owls, also look for feathers stuck to branches. Owls regularly preen, and as they do so, feathers often fall and entangle themselves in the branches. Many times, owls will repeatedly use the same perch to preen and to rest. If you find a feather or multiple feathers stuck in branches, it's a good idea to check on that spot whenever you can. Also, look for whitewash and owl pellets. Again, since owls will often use the same perches or multiple perches within a familiar area, it's always worth spending some time scanning the ground for these signs of their passing. The more pellets and whitewash you find, the more an owl is using that area. By taking a closer look at the pellets you find, you can also determine how recently an owl visited that area, what they're eating, and what trees they prefer to perch in. Oh, what a wonderful morning I've had in this beautiful, beautiful forest. It's mid-afternoon already and I set out long before the sun was up this morning. So I've been out for quite a while and I wish I could say it was because I had a great gray owl in front of my lens all morning, but I didn't. Unfortunately, I was just out enjoying the beautiful scenery and landscape, the sights and sounds of the forest. It was just wonderful. Like I mentioned before, it's invigorating being back in this landscape. It is just absolutely beautiful and I love it. So no owl this morning, but let me tell you about last night. So I set out last night after I had set up my camp before it got dark in search of owls, and I didn't think I was going to find anything. And then on my way back to camp, when it was already pretty dark, I looked over and in a tree on the edge of a little clearing was a beautiful great gray owl. I was able to get a few pictures of him. It was already really dark at that point, My ISO was at 4,000 to start, and my shutter speed at 1/50th of a second. So I was able to get a few portrait shots. He wasn't too active anyways. He came down and caught one little rodent and then flew back up into the tree pretty quick. By the time I left him, my ISO was 8,000 and I was at 1/10th of a second on my shutter speed. So I was just kind of grasping at straws, you know, trying to get whatever I could of him at that point. It was just wonderful being back out with a beautiful great gray owl. So much fun. I got back to camp. It was pitch black at that point. The stars were out and it was clear and calm and just magnificent. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful night. I'm gonna get some late lunch, early dinner right now. Like I mentioned, it's already getting to be later in the afternoon, about the time I start seeing owls moving around again. So I am going to get something to eat because I'm quite hungry, and then we're gonna head back out and see what we can find.
I've spent countless hours over the years looking for great gray owls. These birds are referred to as phantoms for good reason, as they seemingly disappear without a trace or sound. But as we've already seen a little in this video, there are definite signs of their presence and passing. We've talked about things that you can look for when passing through the forest looking for these magnificent birds. But how do you know where to even start looking? I found over the years that great gray owls prefer older growth forests as they provide more perches for them to rest and hunt from. As a forest ages and the trees compete for light and resources, some changes occur. Stronger trees continue to grow. In so doing, they're able to gather more resources and soon crowd out the smaller, weaker trees. This creates a more open understory, which is exactly the type of environment these owls prefer. When looking for great gray owls, it's always wise to keep your ears open, not only for the owls, but just as importantly for their prey. Potential prey species like squirrels and chipmunks will let you know really quickly if an owl is nearby. Many species of birds will also sound the alarm if they spot an owl. As you make your way through the forest, keep your senses alert, and these phantoms become much easier to find.
What a truly amazing evening I just had. So I set out after my breakfast slash lunch slash dinner in search of great grays, and it was getting dark really quick. It's really dark now, I apologize. But yeah, it was getting dark. The sun was starting to set and I found one. And I had maybe like 30 minutes with him. And it was great. I got some really fun pictures that I'm really happy about. And was just able to watch him until it got too dark, and then he just kind of disappeared behind some trees and I just let him be. It was truly magnificent though. You know, I've been talking about things that I do when I'm looking for great gray owls, and I think the most important thing that you can do is just persevere. Be persistent. I think that's one of the most important parts of finding owls, is just doing it and then doing it some more. I've gone on trips before
where I've been out for a week and I didn't find anything, or I've been out for a week and then I have 10 minutes with an owl. And then there's other trips where I go out and every day I see an owl or two sometimes, and it's incredible. But yeah, the most important part, I think, in finding owls is to just put the time into it and you'll find them. What an incredible evening though. The encounter with the owl was just fantastic. I absolutely love seeing and photographing these guys. Fingers crossed I'll be able to find some more in the morning. I'll catch up with you then. Have a nice night. It's beautiful out here.